We will call this meeting to order. This is the regular Town Council meeting, Thursday, April 23, 2026, for the Town of Indian River Shores. Welcome, everyone, and we will start with the invocation from Councilman Carroll.
We're thankful for this town and its residents. We're grateful for all who work for the betterment of our community and all who serve on its behalf. Let those who work here and those who serve here be ever mindful of the town's vision and mission statement. Grant the council the wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, a sense of the welfare and true needs of our people, personal peace in our lives, and joy in our task. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilman. And let us also keep our troops who are in harm's way in our thoughts and prayers. And we will now say the Pledge of Allegiance to the greatest country on earth, the land of the free because of the brave. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Mayor Foley?
Here.
Vice Mayor Alwater?
Here.
Councilmember Carroll?
Here.
Councilmember Altieri?
Here.
Councilmember Tedesco?
Here.
Let the record show all members are present.
All right, thank you. Welcome, everyone, and especially our distinguished visitors. Contrary to popular belief, we have not instituted a blockade of Indian River Shores. We have the Coast Guard Auxiliary here for our annual appreciation for them. So we will now move to the agenda reordering, deletions, or emergency additions. Are there any requests for same? If not, we can have a motion and a second to approve.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Presentations and proclamations. As alluded to a few moments ago, we have the proclamation for National Safe Boating Week. This is an annual event for us and a very important service that you perform for not just our town, but our community at large. So we are happy to do this. If you want to come forward, we can read the proclamation. All right, let's read the proclamation. Whereas recreational boating and paddling is a popular pastime in our community, enjoyed by residents and visitors alike. And whereas safe boating and paddling practices and the consistent use of life jackets are essential to preventing accidents and saving lives on our waterways. And whereas the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary, in partnership with local agencies and organizations, is dedicated to promoting boating safety through education, vessel safety checks, and public outreach. And whereas National Safe Boating Week, observed May 16 through May 22, 2026, serves as an annual reminder for all boaters and paddlers to practice safe boating and paddling habits and to always wear a life jacket while on the water. And whereas the theme of National Safe Boating Week, quote, wear it, quote, emphasizes the importance of life jacket use and encourages all boaters and paddlers to set a positive example for others. Now, therefore, the Town of Indian River Shores does proclaim May 16 to 22, 2026 as National Safe Boating Week, and this is done on behalf of the Town Council and citizens of Indian River Shores. Gentlemen, thank you for what you do. If you'd like to say a few words before we give you the proclamation in paper form, please do.
I've got a very short comment to make.
I see you've only got 4 pages there, so that's good.
Yeah, but I write big. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us again this year. In the past, we've always talked about the history of Boating Safety Week. Well, I want to move it out of the past this year and put it into current events. Here in Florida, we've had a not too great a, how can I put this nicely? A stigma in Florida as being the worst state in the country for boating fatalities. We are number one, with Texas being number 2, and we've got 60% more fatalities on the water than Texas. And they've got as many lakes as we do, and they've got a huge presence on the Gulf of America. Of 81 fatalities since we were here last year, here in Florida, about half of them were from drowning. 62 of the 81 were not wearing life jackets. I know we keep pushing that issue, but The ones that are available nowadays, they're color coordinated with your outfits, they're lightweight, and they can save lives. And it's an important issue. Now, in the past 2 years now, the state of Florida has made it mandatory for everyone that was born after January 1st of 1988 to have a boating safety class and a card when they're operating a vessel. Well, since it's mandatory, our enrollment in our boating safety classes has dropped tremendously in the Treasure Coast and the Palm Beaches. We're getting less and less people taking these classes, and it's something that's very important, and we need to have this stressed to everyone. We're putting it out there on every website, everywhere. We've canceled our last 2 meetings because of lack of enrollment. We've combined it with different flotillas so we can at least get a showing of a couple people so they don't think they're in our way, so to speak. But having said that, we hope we have a very safe and enjoyable season on the water. And I'm sorry to see, Mr. Mayor, that the rest of the council didn't get your memo on the spring attire.
Thank you very much. This is a tradition. When we have our last requirement for a coat and tie, I break out the one good suit I still have left in Florida, and I wear it, so.
And Tom McCarty just has a few quick words, and we'll.
Absolutely, please do.
I'm going to address recreational paddling. We snuck a few of those words into the National Safe Boating Week proclamation this year, because remember, paddlecraft are boats. They are required to have the same operating parameters as a boat, and that includes a life jacket. A life jacket has to be available and readily accessible on a kayak. I don't know about you, but there is barely enough room on the kayak for me. So where's the best place for this? Wear it. That's the and I want to take a minute to read the label to you here. Adult large. These things are specific for your size. They have to fit properly. Another thing, this manufacturer actually indicated, wear it, don't stow it. So that's an excellent, and the other thing you need to look for is the Coast Guard approval. Now wearing it, I'm just going to demonstrate one important facet here, is that, bear with me.
And it's fun trying to put them on when we're in the water.
It has to fit snug. This is not snug. If I'm in a situation where I fall out, it's going to rise up around my chin, might impair my ability to be rescued. So snug it up. First place is tight around your waist. Tight, tight. So now it's not going to ride up. Now it's secure. And the other thing that you need affixed to your life jacket is a sound-producing device. These are statutes. This is a requirement. So when you're out paddling with your friends, check them over and wear it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll do what we can to get the word out to folks, and you know, is there just a question for you all? Is there a mandatory refresher course for, you know, boaters in the state of Florida at any age, whether it's under 15 or any legislative requirement whatsoever? And I'm a proponent of as little government involvement in these things as we can, but when it comes to public health and safety, you know, is there a legislative pathway here potentially to, because those are shocking numbers, to have 60 out of 80 approximately people who died of drowning not be wearing flotation devices. That's shocking.
Unfortunately, there is no provision right now for re-upping your certification or for a refresher course. We do have quite a few people come to our classes that have had classes in the past and maybe just got a new boat and want to get, you know, a new idea what's happening.
All right, well, food for thought. Maybe some of our local elected representatives would love to hear your thoughts on that. I'm sure you've got a few. So thank you very much. Here's your proclamation, fit for framing. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yep, keep up the good work. Thank you. Item 3B, Tammy Bursick, Rumor has it you ran all the way from Boston because you have your Boston Marathon completion medal on.
Yes, I'm showing off my medal. I survived.
So congratulations. That's a great accomplishment. All right, you're going to update us on the City of Vero Beach 4th of July America 250th birthday celebration.
Yes, sir. Thank you for allowing me to be here today. As I know all of you know, it's our 250th anniversary of our country. So this year, we really wanted to do something huge on July 4th. And let me just first say, this is not about the City of Vero Beach. This is about the community. We have reached out to many different organizations, of course, all the municipalities, the county, to try and get everybody involved. And just a gist of the things that are going on the day of July 4th, we start here at the Barrier Island, and I know most of you are familiar with the Run to the Wreck, which is just a huge event these days. We did a little research to find out who started that, and we got back to actually the Sun Runners. They started it many years ago, and at that time it was just like 6 or 7 people going out to the wreck. And the time they started it was at 8 o'clock in the morning. So we said, okay, that's when we're going to start our event on July 4th. Now, keep in mind that people go out there at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. I mean, it's just a huge event. And so we have tried to incorporate that event into ours with people wearing red, white, and blue bathing suits and just really getting into the special day. So then we move from there when we go to the Oceanside Farmers Market. So we reached out to them, and they, of course, wanted to be involved. So they're going to have all their vendors decorating their booths. They'll be in their red, white, and blue and be ready for the day. Then we move from the Barrier Island and go to the mainland. This is where at 10 o'clock we are going to have a parade. And I know I've talked to the mayor and the city clerk here about Indian River Shores getting involved with our parade, and I think maybe they're going to have a fire truck in there, or whatever you decide is just great. So we are really working on getting that going, and so far it's been a huge success. We only have a few slots left, so if anyone is still wondering if they can get in, please fill out your application and get it back to us. So after the parade, which starts at 10, we think it's going to end about 12. We'll have a huge birthday cake, and that will be in the community center, which we'll be singing happy birthday and celebrating. We also, at the parade, the American Antique Society will have several older cars at the train station. Some of the cars will be in the parade, however, they're just afraid that they would overheat being in there for so many hours. So most of them, they have like between 25 and 30 cars so far that will be at the train station for people to go over there and look at. And so we kind of finish with that, and we come back to the Barrier Island and Riverside Park. So at 4:30, the veterans are going to have a 250th anniversary celebration or tribute to the 250th anniversary. And like I said, that will start at 4:30, probably go on till about 5:30. Once that is over with, we'll get on to the band will start playing. This year we have Riptide, which is a huge band in this area. People really like them. And we'll have a hot dog eating contest, hula hoop contest, pie eating contest, you name it. There'll be food trucks out there. There'll be a nice children's area. Just all kinds of things, vendors going on that day. And of course at 9 o'clock, that's when our fabulous fireworks take place. So I'm not saying it's going to be longer this year, but they're just going to make it very, very special for this anniversary. Now, like I said, we have all kinds of other things going on. We wanted to get the children involved, so there is a painting contest where they are going to be portraying their artwork, and that's going to be at the museum on May 7th. That's going to actually be juried, and they will get prizes for the first, second, and third. And one of the things that we're going to have on July 3rd, in which I brought this, is a time capsule. This is, oh, don't want to break it. This is going to be your time capsule. Each municipality in the county are getting a time capsule to for you to put in any of your memorable items that you would like, reaching out to your community to fill the time capsule. And on July 3rd at 12 o'clock, we will have a ceremony where these time capsules will be buried. Now, keep in mind that for the 100th year centennial, there was a time capsule, but we never could find it. I mean, we dug and dug and dug, but we never found it. But that's not going to happen this year. Councilmember Voss has been working on having a beautiful plaque there, and he's already got the wording. It's very nice, which I can send to you so you can see, but it has all the municipalities in the county on there, which will be placed once it's buried, once the time capsules are buried. So in 50 years, when they go to open the time capsule, everybody will know where it is. And that's kind of the gist of what we're doing, but like I said, we just want everybody involved, and we want to thank Indian River Shores for being a part of it. If you have any questions, otherwise, I'm going to leave you your time capsule.
Any questions for Ms. Bursick? No? Thank you. We did meet, and when Janice left the room, we nominated her to be the coordinator for the town.
Perfect.
I trust nobody on council has any issues with that, but we do need one central repository for the things, and we'll get the word out. We'll solicit our folks. We have some pretty interesting things about our town that most of our residents don't even know about. Like, for example, where Johns Island was once proposed as the campus for the University of Central Florida. Can you imagine how different this place would be if we had UCF here as opposed to there? And there are a bunch of other things that we'll be happy to educate people on, and we'll get people involved in the parade and the fireworks, and we'll do what we can, to help you in any way, shape, or form. So thank you very much for coordinating this. Yeah. Item 3C, domain name change update. Take care of this, Mr. Harpering?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Just some brief information on our digital infrastructure modernization. So we had a number of initiatives that we've been looking at over time. Our email system, our website, and our brand. What we're looking at is a unified domain and a new brand and seal consistent with a unified identity. The objective really was just to modernize the infrastructure across those three areas. So as we transition, we had actually two different email domains, one at irshores.com, the other irspsd.org, which was the Public Safety Department. We are moving to indianrivershores.gov as a single unified domain for all staff, and this will assist us and allow us to share a global address list and calendars and so on. As to the platform migration, the email will eventually be retired. It had some constraints, but with the unified platform, again, we're going to have a shared calendar across departments and a global address list and cloud storage integration for our emails. And as to the website, previously we had two different domain names for the website, indianrivershores.com and irspsd.org. We are going to be going to indianrivershores.gov. It's a single URL, be consistent navigation, branding. You'll go to one place and be able to get to every place, everything that you need relative to town services and operations from that single platform. And then as to the identity, we historically had the logo on the left. We did some discussions internally and with some residents and others, and have come up with the following. On the left, we have our official seal. We will be coming forward to the council with a resolution designating that as an official seal at a meeting coming forward. The other is our brand logo, as you've started to see. In both internal and external discussions, in both internal and external discussions, we were looking to end up with something a little brighter, a little lighter, a little more welcoming, while still maintaining some of the history in the official seal. Don't want to go into great detail here, but in terms of our status, our email is up and live, so if you want to email us at indianrivershores.gov, the same precursor names, the J. Harpering or whatever it happens to be, still exists. And we're still in the process of completing a number of the items that are outlined here, and eventually we'll go to decommissioning everything else after approximately a year. So we're completing the forwarding and addressing list for all of our records with the global address list. We continue to monitor our mail flow and retire domains that we don't need. And one of the other things that we've done is try to clean up a variety of different email addresses that were not particularly descriptive of what they were for, and retire some of those. And then, of course, we're deploying the new seal and the brand identity for the town over time. You've seen that in some of the documents. It's not a single moment flip the switch piece, but this is what we're looking at, and I think that's the last slide, Heather. Thank you for that. And of course, I want to thank everyone on the team. I know that as far as all of the technical side, everyone has been weighing in. I'd like to thank Mike Latinsky, our IT director, and Heather and Janice and Lucy, everybody, the whole team. A lot of people have really chipped in. To name one is to forget somebody else. So I do just want to thank everybody that's been working on this, and we're available for any questions if you have.
Any questions from council?
Yeah, just one on the business cards. We'll put the new seal on our town business cards.
I wasn't planning on doing that, I don't believe.
I would request that be done, only that I think of the town as having the mission oak trees, in which you have that on the seal, like you have it on there. So that would be my request. I don't know how the rest of the council feels.
I can put together a draft, take a look at it, and see what it would look like format-wise.
I'm what is referred to as aesthetically challenged, so I'm agnostic on it, but I see no reason why not to do that. You know, we're gonna have to update the business cards with with the new email addresses and things like that. But as a point of clarification, the old email addresses will work for at least a year, so our business cards that have been handed out will get the numbers.
Yes,
so.
that's correct.
Okay. Anybody object to the new seal going on their business cards? So.
We'll
Okay.
put together a draft template
Okay,
for you
good.
and get it out.
Yeah, I know, we're all here. I just wanted to see if anybody had a burning objection to the change. So, all right, terrific. Any other questions? None? Thank you. I know this is one of those jobs that looks simple enough, and nobody appreciates the difficulty and the intricacies in doing it and changing systems. So appreciate your work, Mike, and thank you for doing this. And there's also a, did I remember correctly that there's a security enhancement to it by going to the new domain site as opposed to a .com?
Relative to the .gov, yes, in terms of spoofing and things like that, it is a little step up. Not that things can't happen, but it's definitely a step up in that regard.
Okay, thank you. So well worth the money then. All right, let's move on to item 4, comments from the public regarding agenda items. So this is the public's opportunity to come up and speak on items that are on the agenda. If it does not appear on the agenda, please wait to the end of the meeting. Going once, going twice. Okay, we have a taker. If you could just state your name and generally your address and take it from there.
Teresa Morgan, 935 Beachcomber Lane. I just want to comment about the contract that's on the agenda to be approved for Beachcomber and Pebble. I just want to go on record as saying that I think that it's important that the homeowners understand what those costs are going to be. We had a meeting about 19 months ago where we sort of got an idea of what the costs of the sewer portion would be, which worked to bear at that time. And 19 months was a long time ago. So I think it's important that we really try to understand what those costs are going to be today. And since you're approving the contract without us having that information, it just it causes a little anxiety. So if that could maybe be addressed, or at least some assurances that those costs could be mitigated or kind of kept to where they were thought to be back 19 months ago. And I know a lot has changed since then. So thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
All right, thank you. We'll hear about that later in the program. And just for those that are interested in this issue, remember we're kind of constrained on this. This is a mandate from the state that we had to do this by a certain date. I know Mr. Bolton and Mr. Harping have been working very hard on that. And Mr. Bolton, thank you for the time and effort you've put into this. So hopefully we'll have your questions answered later in the meeting. Anybody else? Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All right, the motion by Councilman Carroll, the second by Councilman Altieri. We do have a resolution, so we will take a roll call vote.
Mayor Foley?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Atwater?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Altieri?
Aye.
Councilmember Tedesco?
Aye.
The record show the motion passes unanimously.
All right, Mayor's report. I'll try to keep it a bit brief today. First off, we had hosted the local municipal clerks in our municipality for a luncheon last month. I believe it was on the 26th or 27th. It was after our regular meeting. These meetings are essential and eye-opening for someone like me because, they say that, the officers eat the meals and the non-coms run the army. They're the non-coms. I mean, the work that the clerks do and sharing of information, they find a way to get things done when others don't. Thank you to all the clerks, and thank you, Janice, for hosting them and giving us the opportunity to meet them. Okay, on the follow-up from something that's on a lot of people's mind, reading about the possibility of tax reform, municipal tax reform, modifying ad valorem taxes, real estate taxes. So we all have different sources of information, but if you've been following this, it does not look like the votes are there. Others say it could be a stretch to get the votes in the Senate to join the House resolution, which would put on the ballot, basically a repeal of taxes. So there are other things that are working their way through the system. There may be some legislative solutions to this issue. We just have to wait and see. I think if you follow this issue, you'll see it's all over the place. And by virtue of the fact that there have been some delays in the scheduling of the special session and some challenges to figure out how to fit this issue into the special session is kind of telling as to what, if anything, will happen. I do have for council a summary of property tax revenues in Florida that was, alerted to me. And, just looking at the other side of it, are we overtaxed or undertaxed? From 2019, Florida property tax revenue was approximately $32 billion. In 2025, it's estimated to be in excess of $56 billion. So that's an astonishing increase in property tax revenue. And, there are a lot of reasons for it, but mostly the appreciation of value. Obviously, if you keep your mill rate the same and your property value goes up, your tax bill goes up. So it doesn't look like your tax rate is increasing, but your tax bill is. So, my sense is the majority of Floridians would like to see some kind of relief, some kind of reform, not just for this, but also for high insurance rates. So we don't have any magic ball on this. We don't have any special information, and I don't think even the individual members of the state legislature know specifically which way this is going to go. That's why they have these sessions. Okay, we are going to set not a workshop meeting. We're going to have a resident input meeting on the whole issue of pickup trucks and, whether or not we should modify our local ordinance to allow some type of pickup truck, particularly non-commercial. We're not talking about commercial pickup trucks and commercial vehicles, just, kind of getting some input from people about how they feel about modifying our current ordinance, which prohibits pickup trucks from being parked even in your own driveway. Now, this is for the members of the public, and, council are free to do what they want to do. My belief is it's best for us to stay out of it. Let the public come in, let the public make their comments and have it moderated by the town manager. It's not a notice public meeting, so if we were asked a specific question, we conceivably could be getting ourselves in sunshine law violation territory problems because it's not a public meeting and you don't want to telegraph how you're thinking on an issue. The town attorney is nodding, which I always like, and so that's probably the best practice. I think you'd agree. Right. So that will be for the public to tell us what's on your mind and how you think about this issue. All right.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, just
yes.
briefly, just
Sure.
on that topic, I was going to address it later, but since you brought it up, community meeting notice is going to go out. We have reservations here. May 19th here at the in the council chambers at 10 a.m. We're going to put notice out in the newsletter and on the website and invite the community to come in. We'll notify the HOAs, the property managers, and so on. Want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to say their piece, and I will report back to the council on the May 28th meeting to let you know how it went.
Terrific, great, thank you. So we'll get that word out, not just on our website blast. Okay. All right, so that's basically it. I'm happy to take any questions from council. If
Mr. Mayor, have you heard any update on the utility bill that we were trying to get? What was it, 1051?
As the last time I checked, which was 6 or 7 days ago, it had not yet been presented to the governor for signature. So, anything else? But actually, following up on that, not much has been presented to the governor for signature, has it? Since there's no time limit, Pete, is that right? And they're kind of focused really on budget issues and.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, council. Very few have even been transmitted to the governor at this point, and they are under no statutory time frame to transmit them today, tomorrow, next week. So once they do, there's a clock, as we talked about, but there is no time frame for them to actually present it.
All right. Thank you. So 7A, Vice Mayor Alwater, you're going to talk to us about the Indian River County Beach Preservation draft plan.
There was a meeting in the over here in the community center. I had a pretty good turnout, 86 people a week ago. And so what this is that every once in a while, Indian River County updates a beach preservation plan. So that looks at the state of conditions along the beach all the way through the north to the south part of the county, and it's broken down by sectors. I'll show that in a moment, and evaluate strategies to try to preserve that. So if you look up here, you'll see that it's been updated a number of times, and the update evaluates, as I say, current coastal conditions, assess risks, identifies management strategies to guide resilient long-term shoreline and stewardship. This is 602 pages. 126 pages in the front section talks about the strategies and so forth, and then the remaining are appendices in which there's a lot of historical data. What's interesting about that is that if you want to look at what's the state of the beach near your house, it's very detailed. So there's a lot of good information that way. So I'm going to quickly go through what was talked about at this workshop. There was a series of posters, and these are exact copies of the poster. I'm going to primarily focus on sectors 3 and 4, which cover Indian River shores. I'm not going to through all of them because it would take too long of a time. So just looking at the beach here, you'll see that in this diagram, this is how the county looks at the beach. This particular spot here, which says dune position, is also known as the dune toe, and that's important in terms of how is that moving over time relative to waves, and how do we offset that with potential beach nourishment and other strategies. And this part down here refers to a hard bottom. So what's a hard bottom? The definition is an exposed limestone, rock, or coquina reefs providing crucial high diversity foundations for algae, coral, sponges, and fish in a sandy marine environment. Why that is important? Because that really impinges on the strategies that we can use. Oftentimes we've had people come up from the Northeast and say, why aren't you just pumping sand in from offshore like they do, particularly in New Jersey? I used to go down to Avalon and Stone Harbor every year, and each year you'd see they'd be pumping hundreds of thousands of cubic yards of sand. Because that hard bombing, you have to be very careful how you move sand from offshore and whether it will impinge on that marine environment. So Indian River Shores is in this area here. It's from Sector 3, the latter part of Sector 3, or most southern part of Sector 3, all the way here to Sector 4, and a very small piece of Sector 5 down along the tracking station park. And our sector has gotten hammered on sand over time. So if you look over here, the dune position from 1997 to 2024, so this does not represent the sand that was put in last year, which definitely helped a lot. So that moved 54 feet the wrong way, inland. And over periods of time, more recently, most of that landward sand, dune movement has been more recent. I'll talk about that in a moment. So what you'll see down here is what this shows is the dune position graph by each particular, what they call a range monument. So a range monument is a marker roughly about 500 feet in distance. Our range monuments in Indian River Shores go from 46 here all the way out to 73. So they measure, the county through a contractor measures the sand movement. And you can see here, primarily in Sector 4, which is most of the town, the sand has gone the wrong way. Here in Sector 6, they've actually accumulated sand. So you may have read in the press about the county requires to put sand into a particular area, they have to get a permanent easement from 90% of the property owners. Well, these property owners have said that they're not going to do it because they get sand. So that's impacted the project down here in Sector 7. As I've said in meetings, these people are concerned that with an easement that people will walk across their property. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's no public access down there. But they've continued to do that. So shoreline position shows a similar story here. Sector 3 has been fairly stable. Sector 4 has moved the wrong way as well. And the same thing just down here in Sector 7. Beach width. Now, in some cases here in Sector 4, the beach width is widened, but that's primarily because the dune has moved backward. So your protection has moved the wrong way there. And so you'll end up seeing the dune retreating. And then here, look at the volume changes here. And Sector 3 been fairly stable. Sector 4, we've lost 14 to 15 cubic yards per linear foot as you're going down the beach. So we've gotten hit quite a bit. And people, the town administration, the town council, and so forth have been worked for years to get this Sector 4 to be listed as critically eroded. And it's been mind-boggling to me that we couldn't get that, seeing these numbers that go on. And it took a lot of work in Tallahassee to get it done. And here this talks about the hard bottom edge that has moved backward as well. So looking here, this shows the history up top of the various hurricanes that have moved in fairly recently. So if you look here in Sector 1 and 2, they've gotten a lot of sand. Why have they gotten a lot of sand? Because the Sebastian Inlet traps sand. Sand here in this part of Florida moves from north to south. That inlet traps sand, and they're required under state law to move sand out of the inlet into sectors 1 and 2. Now, what I objected to was there was a memorandum of understanding between the Sebastian Inlet District and the county to move sand. Over time, Sebastian Inlet District has failed to meet their requirements on the plan that they filed with the state. So there was an update to this memorandum of understanding. Unfortunately, I could not convince the county to put some teeth into it. It's basically let Sebastian Inlet do whatever the hell they want to do. But you know, I tried, but it was unsuccessful. Sector 3 over time has gotten a fair amount of sand, and for the first time, Sector 4 got sand in 2025, and we really need it. If you go out on the beach, we've had a lot of wave action where the wind has come directly out of the east or the northeast, and that's chewed up the beach. Now, that said, a lot of that sand has gone just to offshore, and generally it will come back during the summer when things calm down. That is before a hurricane takes place. Okay, so we got here water level and sea level rise projections. So if you look down here, and I know it's kind of hard to read because there's a lot of action going on here. These are the projections of how the sea level rise is going to go up given various models. There's one model from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. There's another one from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. It's not a good sign. I mean, a lot of this will take place later, long after I'm dead. But that said, you know, it's why you have to keep doing dune replenishment. And if you look here, between 1992 and 2020, sea level rise has been approximately 6 inches. That's measured up and down the coast. That doesn't sound too bad, right? Well, the rule of thumb is for every 1 foot of sea level rise, and this, again, this depends on the contour of the beach, but for 1 foot of sea level rise, you get 50 to 100 feet of shoreline retreat. That gets your attention. And this box down here shows the estimate by the Army Corps of Engineers. They do, the SACS is the South Atlantic Coastal Study, a 1% storm where a large storm, basically once a century, where the water levels might rise, and we would have, by their projections, approximately 8 feet in Sector 3 and Sector 4. It's pretty consistent along there. Again, that's a guess in a model. So, okay, so these are the different vulnerability parameters. I'm not going to go through all of them. A lot of these are pretty straightforward. The one thing about armoring, people bring up, well, put a seawall in. Well, all you have to do is go down to Porpoise Point. What happens when you have a seawall, and they have one down there, when the waves come in, it scours all the sand and moves it in the direction the way the sand normally goes. They are not a solution. One thing I want to point out, that historical erosion rate, and it mentions here the average shoreline change rate since 2019 calculated via linear regression. One problem we had in terms of getting Sector 4 listed as critically eroded, they did a linear regression going back to 1997. It gave equal weight to what happened in 1997 as it did to 2019 and 2020s. And as you can see, the other numbers, that encroachment has increased, and it was very frustrating for us dealing with the DEP, Department of Environmental Protection, and trying to get that done. Okay, so the consultant did different sector risk, different factors: shoreline encroachment, infrastructure exposure, whether we have armoring, historical seashore change, and this large storm response. If you had a big storm once in a century, they put weights down here and came up with risk results. They have planning Sector 4 down as the fifth being the most risky, than 7-2. And I disagree with these because the rankings here, the weights, I think, are inappropriate, particularly the shoreline change rate. They only have listed as a 2 as opposed to a weighting of a 5. Same thing with the storm here, too. I think all these should be 5 except for the armoring exposure, and that would move Sector 4 up. But, okay. So additional community information here, just land uses, public beach access, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So it's just a listing of different factors that they look at. So shoreline management strategies, I'm not going to go through these. Most of them is either no action or what they end up doing is dune replenishment. There's other things which are pretty much prohibited. Geotubes, some private beach owners have done those. You'll see them down south of Tracking Station Park. Seawalls they're not going to let you do. So you got nearshore sand placement. We can't do that because of the hard bottom that I mentioned earlier. So it's basically beach and dune nourishment. There is a nearshore artificial reef, a so-called PEP reef. I've heard mixed results on that. So getting to the end here, the summary recommendations, I'm just going to look at Sector 3 and Sector 4 just to remind you that Indian River Shores goes from range monument of 46 to 55. So if you look down here, that's about 2/3 of the way south on Sector 3, and the recommendation is continued beach and dune replenishment, which they have been doing. If you look here at Sector 4, the same thing to try to get sand. One thing that hurt us over time, pushback we got from DEP, was we only had one public beach access. Well, if you look here, the sector runs from range monument 55 to 72. At 52.5, there is a beach access. At 72.5, right at the edge of it, there is a beach access. If you switch that around, you have 3 public beach access points. Now, this point of 0.3 per mile goes up to 1.3 per mile. That hurt us with DEP, where they said you only had one beach access again. These sectors designations, from everything I've been told, because I've asked the question time and time again, are pretty much completely arbitrary. And you'll see sometimes you have a long beach sector, and then a short one, and then a longer one. So just something to point out to council. So with one other thing you got Sector 5 through 8 here. This one last chart or table I want to mention is these are all the steps you have to go through when you're starting a brand new beach project. Once you get them approved, some of this is cut off. But this tells you why it takes so long to go through all of these. And important is what you know here is EIS, that stands for Environmental Impacts Study or Statement. I forget which one it is. That is the source of a lot of litigation. Anytime a project is done in this country, you have certain non-governmental organizations push back on a project, and they'll tie you up in court on that. So that's a very quick summary, everything that went on there. Be happy to take any questions, or we can move on. So,
anything? No. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor. This, for those who want a deeper dive, it is a publicly available document. Everybody can read it, and located either on the county website. Do we put it on ours, or do we?
I think we're going to have a link.
We're going to have a link. Okay.
Yeah, it's real. As you can tell, it's huge.
Yeah.
From a megabyte.
Yeah.
Size. So.
All right, and to give just like end on a little happier note than this, in 2022, the NOAA did produce a study that indicated that sea rise concerns were not as bad as they thought they were going to be. So they've walked that back. We're not. Okay. We're not going to have beachfront property in Pebble Bay. So that's the good news. These things. Take time to have the data work out. But thank you very much for that presentation. Item 8A, discussion with possible or probable action, ordinance number 590, repeal of Article 6, Department of the Treasury. That's our Department of the Treasury, not the Federal Department of the Treasury. Section 30.45, Organization, Powers, and Duties. This is a second reading. I will ask, since it's a second reading, if there are no questions, we can have the town attorney read the appropriate language before we move to council discussion and a vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. This is ordinance number 590, an ordinance of the Town of Indian River Shores repealing Article 6, Section 30.45 of the town's Code of Ordinances, which outlines the organization, powers, and duties of the Department of Treasury in its entirety, providing for applicability and inclusion, providing for severability, providing for an economic impact statement, providing for Scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date. This is the second reading. Thank you.
All right, as it's a second reading, if there are no further questions, can we have a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
All right, the motion by Councilman Carroll, the second by Councilman Altieri. Can we do a roll call vote, please?
Mayor Foley?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Atwater?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Altieri?
Aye.
Councilmember Tedesco?
Aye.
Let the record show the motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. Item 8B, ordinance number 591, amendment to Article 7, Department of Finance, Section 30.50, Organization, Powers, and Duties. This is a second reading. If you will, Mr. Town Attorney, can you read the required language?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. This is ordinance number 591, an ordinance of the Town of Indian River Shores, amending Article Article 6, correctly, Article 6, Section 30.50 of the town's Code of Ordinances, which outlines the powers and duties of the Department of Finance, providing for applicability and inclusion, providing for severability, providing for an economic impact statement, providing for Scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date. This is the second reading.
All right, and just to reiterate, it should have been Article 6.
Correct.
Not Article 7 as read by me, even though that's what was typed.
Yes,
So-
sir.
All right, thank you. If there's no further discussion, as it's a second reading, is there a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
Okay, same movant and same seconder. Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Foley?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Atwater?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Altieri?
Aye.
Councilmember Tedesco?
Aye.
Let the record show the motion passes unanimously.
Okay, ordinance number 592, this is item 8C, amendment to section 32.21. Town manager, we had a fairly full discussion about this at the last meeting. This is a second reading. Can you please read the required language, Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is ordinance number 592, an ordinance of the Town of Indian River Shores amending Article 2, Section 32.21 of the town's Code of Ordinances, which outlines the powers and duties of the town manager, providing for applicability and inclusion, providing for severability, providing for an economic impact estimate, providing for Scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date. This is the second reading. Thank you.
All right, is there any discussion? If there is none, a motion and a second.
So moved. Second.
Okay, same movant, second by the Vice Mayor. Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Foley?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Atwater?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Altieri? Councilmember Tedesco?
Aye.
Let the record show the motion passes unanimously.
Okay, ordinance number 593, item 8D. This is similar to the previous ordinance just adopted. It's a second reading regarding the procurements of goods and services. Can you read the required language, Mr. Sweeney?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is ordinance number 593, an ordinance of the Town of Indian River Shores amending Article 31.02 of the town's Code of Ordinances, which outlines the procedures for the procurement of goods and services, providing for applicability and inclusion, providing for severability, providing for an economic impact estimate, providing for Scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date. This is the second reading. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? If none, a motion and a second, please.
So moved. Second.
Okay,
Mayor Foley?
yes, roll call vote, aye.
Vice Mayor Atwater?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Altieri?
Aye.
Councilmember Tedesco?
Aye.
Let the record show the motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item 8E. This is the award of ITB 26-01, which is the Beachcomber Lane and Pebble Lane paving stormwater and septic to sewer project. Before we move to the discussion by council, Mr. Harpring, in light of the comments from a member of the public, can you just give an overview of the process and where we are on this?
Yes, I have some information in that regard. Excuse me. Historically, to set the stage, in 2023, the Florida legislature passed HB 1379, which required major provision of that was the septic to sewer portion, and the project, it required the conversion of any septic systems to sanitary sewer, if available. And that only related to, excuse me, that only related to particular areas, and we are in one of those areas. That's the central Indian River Lagoon Basin. As soon as that was passed, I began discussions with Mr. Bolton and the city about the implementation, primarily because the relationship of this unfunded mandate from the city required, excuse me, thank you, Vice Mayor, from the state, the unfunded mandate from the state required the city to coordinate, as the wastewater provider, to coordinate with the property owner, and the property owner has the obligations under the statute to do so. The discussions circulated around timing and trying to minimize both the economic and convenience impacts to the residents. The town has a road paving schedule where for particular roads, not just that need paving, but that don't have any stormwater infrastructure, we were going down the road of doing those projects. When HB 1379 was passed, I began discussing coordinating those road paving projects with the city and those discussions with Mr. Bolton, again, to minimize not just the inconvenience, but the cost of what was going to happen relative to the implementation of HB 1379. Briefly, if the town wasn't coordinating this particular project with the city, then the residents would be obligated to pay a proportionate share for the road work. In this particular case, the town is coordinating with the city for the septic to sewer portion of the project, and we're doing the road work, the town is. So the individual property owners don't have that particular obligation. We had a preliminary meeting with residents that we notified on Beachcomber and Pebble Lane. We sent out direct mailers on September 12th of 2024. At that meeting, we discussed the upcoming project. Mr. Bolton was there. He provided a PowerPoint presentation. At that time, in 2024, he provided some very high-level cost estimates for what it might look like for the septic to sewer piece, understanding that whatever cost was going to be associated with the septic to sewer piece was going to be driven by whatever bid we would get from the road work in the septic to sewer project. At that time, we did contemplate having another resident meeting regarding to discuss the costs. However, at that time, we were thinking about potentially doing the bid as a request for proposal or an intent to negotiate. However, discussing the project with our team and engineers and others, we decided to go through an ITB, an invitation to bid. And that's consistent with the provisions of 287-057 of Florida statutes, and that requires the contract to be awarded to the responsible and responsive vendor who submits the lowest responsive bid. That basically puts us in a position that we're going to take the lowest bid. As a result of that, there really was no imminent need relative to the approval of the vendor proposal to have that cost meeting with the residents. However, in the meantime, Mr. Bolton has begun to work on those numbers because those numbers are individual property owners, and again, we could only speculate as to what those numbers would actually be until we had the bid. So in that regard, right now, the bids were opened on April 15th. And we received 3 bids, and we have presented for the town council approval of the vendor agreement and awarding the bid. If that's approved today, we have a pre-construction meeting scheduled for next Friday, April 30th. There is a timeline that is in the bid proposal for the project to start in July. However, our hope is that if this is approved today, that we might be able to accelerate that start date since we're having the pre-construction meeting next week and begin for mobilization and so on. The only other administrative item that would occur after approval, excuse me, is the ratification or agreement of a construction services agreement for the actual contract for the project. That happens, we have a draft, of course, but that does not formally happen until after the council would approve this. With that, I note that We've had great cooperation. I do want to again thank Mr. Bolton for his work on this. We've spent the better part of the last 2 years working through interlocal agreements, again, to try to benefit the residents so that they could have options for payment of this unfunded mandate that they're responsible to pay. And the manner in which we did that was to come to an agreements with various constitutional officers here, tax collector, property appraiser, so that whatever the cost happens to be, that the final cost that's determined, that can be placed on the property owner's tax roll and amortized over a 10-year period. Of course, they could pay it up front. Similarly, during that 10-year period, they could pay it off early, any particular year before August 1st. So that's where we are on the project generally, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Certainly very sympathetic to the concerns that we've had of the property owners about how they pay for the unfunded state mandate for this connection. But the town has done their best to minimize the costs by coordinating the road paving projects so they don't have to pay for that individually. So, so that's where we are. Overall, as to the agreement, as I noted, we did receive we received 4 bids. One was not compliant with the bidding process. We looked at 3. This is the lowest bid that we have. It's been reviewed by our team, and we recommend approval of the bid at this time.
Right. So there were four interested parties. 3 actually submitted conforming documents. And for those that are interested in this arcane bidding stuff that we're required to follow and things like this, it's the lowest responsible bidder, not necessarily the lowest bidder, but the 3 were deemed responsible. It happened to be the lowest cost bidder that we found to be the best one, correct?
That's correct.
And the dollar number on that is?
The
I looked through the bid document. I think it's 1.9. About.
Yes, the total bid is $1,945,338. God bless you. And the others are on the agenda item.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Council discussion, questions?
I have a question regarding you said a 10-year payment plan?
Yes.
Is there an interest rate associated with that?
There is, Mr. Wall, I think you were looking at considering early payment for taxes and so on. I'll just defer to you on the exact number. I don't want to guess.
Yeah, so Rob Bolton, City of Vero Beach, and I'd like to make a comment about the mayor. I am a UCF graduate and probably would be a fisherman today if I had to go to school here in Johns Island instead of an engineer. So what we looked at from an interest rate is if there's allowed prepayment. So if somebody just comes in and writes a check at the end of the project, you're done. If you go on the assessment roll, the problem that we have with taxes, you know, is if they make a payment early, you have a 4% discount. So the interest rate would be related to that 4% discount and any other costs associated with the collection by the supervisor, you know, the tax collector. So I think I did a calculation, it was 6-point-something% or something along those lines, to where we won't be making any money, but that covers the costs for it to be spread out over the 10-year period with the other costs associated.
So if I'm hearing what you're saying correctly, let's say it's 6.7. But if somebody has it on the bill, they essentially each year they get a 4% discount, so that means it's only 2.7? Am I reading
No,
it?
what I'm trying to say is if I needed to collect $1,
yeah,
and I'm only collecting 96 cents,
right,
then I got to make it $1.04 or $1.05,
okay,
and
well,
then I have the costs associated with the 1 or 2% that the tax collector is making on top of it. So now that's $1.06. So when they collect $1.06 from, that's what's set out there. So if they make their payment in November, I get the $1. If they make the payment in March, I get $1.06.
okay.
That
makes it pretty hard for somebody to determine what's going on, whether they should go to the payment plan or not. I can't understand.
There'll be a percentage that'll be calculated that'll show what it is. It's
okay,
like I said,
but I'm asking you. Okay, but it's 6%. But then do they get the 4% discount
Yes.
each payment. So then it would be 6.7 minus 4 then, right? So would that make it the
And then
effective
two-
interest
and
rate
then
of
If you want to look at it your way,
2.7?
the 2 points goes to the tax collector.
Okay.
We're not getting anything, it's going to the tax
All right.
collector for collecting the money.
Okay, because somebody needs to make this decision. Okay.
Good?
Yeah. Anything else for Mr. Bolton? Thank you for working. We don't always get along the way we should in government, but on this one, I think we did pretty well. All right, is there anything else to move to? All right. With that, if there's no further discussion, I will say I followed this process pretty carefully. I looked at the bid documents. They were extremely thorough. Again, I do appreciate the cooperation between the city and the town on this. And for something that wasn't our idea to do, I think we've done about the best we can for, the residents that would have to do this. If you had to do it on your own, you'd be paying it out of pocket. There would be no option really to even have this added to your tax bill, and it would be a big out-of-pocket burden for some folks. So with that, thank you for, I don't want to say making lemonade out of lemons, but at least lemon juice out of lemons on this. And, hopefully the project itself goes as smoothly as possible, and we can time it so that we have minimum disruption to our residents on Beachcomber and Pebble Lane. If there's no other discussion from council, the next step in this would be a motion and a second if council is inclined to approve this.
So moved. Second.
All right, there's a motion from Councilman Carroll and a second from Councilman Altieri. Let's have a roll call vote on this, even though technically it's not required. I think it's important that we all go on record for this.
Mayor Foley?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Atwater?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Altieri?
Aye.
Councilmember Tedesco?
Aye.
Let the record show that the approval of the ITB was approved unanimously.
All right, thank you, and thank you for your comments, the member from the public, and just, goes without saying, because, we all work with Mr. Harpring and Ms. Rutan, and we'll be open to have whatever kind of input and feedback from the residents affected by this as this project goes on, as we always are. So our job is to, believe it or not, try to make things, as easy for you as we can, and we'll be receptive to all of that. So, and I'm sure any member of council would continue to love to hear feedback. And the folks on Beachcomber are generally pretty good about giving feedback, so I don't think we have to worry about that. Mr. Harping, did you have something else you were motioning?
I just wanted to note that we do, as I mentioned earlier, that we have a meeting next week with the contractors on the 30th. Once that meeting is complete with staff and engineering and so on, we will have notice through direct mail to everyone on Beachcomber and Pebble. Once Mr. Bolton has a little more defined information, we're going to have another public meeting to go over the actual timeline that we have for the work and the product and so on. Try to keep everybody as informed as possible as we move along.
Thank you. And if we're feeling sorry for ourselves on this, Mr. Bolton, you can, how many thousands are you going to have to do in Vero Beach? 3,000. I heard the numbers somewhere between, is it 6,000 and 7,000 in Sebastian that they're looking at, or?
Yeah, well, 30,000 across the county.
Wow. And those are homes affected, not just, wow. Okay, well, good luck with that. Thank you. Okay, item 8F, budget schedule. Budget workshop, July 23, 2026 at 8:30 a.m. Our first public hearing, our final public budget hearing. Who wants to take that? Janice, Heather, Jim? Okay. Janice, Jim?
Anyone? You or?
If I could just,
That the town manager was able to ascertain dates specific for the budget.
Okay.
I believe just to note relative to the determination of the first public budget hearing date, I believe the 15th at 5:01 is okay.
And what date is that?
September.
September 15th.
September 15th. Yeah, okay. 5:01? Okay. And we have, we have council that's okay with that, right? So good. And that's the meeting that lasts from 5:01 to 5:03 p.m.
If that.
If that, okay. Any other dates that we need to solidify on this, or is that good?
Madam Clerk, I think we're
To confirm that the final public budget hearing will be on the 22nd.
Yes,
Set at 5:01.
at 5:01. Terrific. And if I can, I know everybody's pretty good at keeping track of this, but if I could, just ask you to submit in our inboxes or something, a revised schedule of all the remaining dates, that would be terrific. So just to double check and make sure we've got everything in our iPhones correctly. All right, Resolution 8G. Resolution 26-01, calling for the November 3, 2026 election. This is a requirement of state statute to set election dates in municipalities. Mr. Sweeney, do you want to explain and read the required language?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. As mentioned, this is a pro forma requirement for setting up for the election that will be held this November. So this is Resolution 26-01, a resolution adopted by the Town of Indian River Shores, Florida, designated the date, time, and place for the filing for the offices for the position of Town Council prior to the municipal election to be held Tuesday, November 3rd, 2026, setting the dates and times to qualify for public office, setting the filing fees, and appointing an election canvassing board, and providing for an effective date. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'd call for public comment, but this is one of those things we can't do anything anyway because the election date's the election date by state statute. So is there a motion?
Well, Mr. Mayor, and of course, earlier on, you had asked for comments from the public regarding agenda items. So I believe it would qualify under this.
Sure.
Thank you.
But my point is, we can't change the election date anyway because we don't have the jurisdiction to do it.
Yes,
right. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Okay, a motion by by Councilman Carroll and a second by Councilman Altieri. Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Foley?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Atwater?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Altieri?
Aye.
Councilmember Tedesco?
Aye.
Let the record show the motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. All right, staff updates. Building Department. Mr. Held.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council.
Morning.
I do not have any additional information to share with everybody this morning. Are there any questions?
If there are no questions, we get a detailed report of your activity in the permits, and you're a busy fella. So
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we appreciate what you're doing. Anything for Mr. Held?
Just a general question, as far as activity in the housing market, what's your read on it? Are we varying reports that Florida in general is going downhill, but does that apply to this area, or?
Vice Mayor, just being in the field, talking with contractors, the general consensus is that everybody here is staying busy, that they have contracts for the fall. It doesn't appear that the market here is coinciding with where I worked previously down in Palm Beach County. It's a different market up here. So it's hard for me to say, yes, things are slowing down in Palm Beach County, therefore they're going to slow down up here. I can't make that assumption.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Code enforcement.
Good morning.
Morning.
Other than the items listed on the report, I have no further updates. If I can answer any questions, I'd be glad to.
Is there anything for Mr. Mike Rands? Yes.
Mr. Mayor, just briefly as a follow-up to the Vice Mayor's question to our building official, Mr. Held, I can tell you that by our code enforcement officer's activity in real estate sign pickups, that things are pretty busy out there. As you can see, anytime you walk into our office, we've got a handful out there. So it's pretty active for us in the field.
Yeah, I think I think we've been able to discern that we defy trends in other places. We're somewhat unique in many ways. So
you don't want signs about bounce?
No floating signs.
Yeah. Yeah, but it does seem like we still have some of the same repeat offenders. I hope we're whacking them for, not giving them any forbearance since they've been,
Yes, sir.
been told time and time again. I've seen the spreadsheet on one outfit in particular, which I won't mention in the meeting, but they're at the top of the list there. So,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, just briefly on that point, you'll see not some foreshadowing, but we're looking to structure the sign ordinance for real estate signs in a little different manner to give us a little more enforcement ability relative to the structure. So you'll be seeing something on that coming up.
Great.
All right, thank you. Keep
you.
up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Facilities Department report. Is this the first Facilities Department report? All right.
Yes, it is, sir.
All right.
Although the reports have been coming from me up to now anyway, so, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, council. You have the Facilities Department report, which was in your packet, and I just wanted to know if you had any questions.
None?
Very good.
None from me. Anybody? No, thank you.
Okay,
Thanks,
for
for those in the audience that don't know Lucy was it last month or before, given the facilities management job? So basically, we just gave her a title with no additional money to do everything she's been doing already. So thank you for doing that. You didn't think you were going to get away with that, Mr. Harpering, did you? So, all right. Finance Department report, Ms. Christmas.
Good morning. The only update I have is I will be providing a budget amendment next month. Other than that, I'm available for any questions that you may have.
Anything for Ms. Christmas? I have one. How disruptive is the new statutory requirement that you have to comply with? And, if you want to just give a basic, like a 10-second summary of what it is. You have to project like 10% reduction in revenues and what that would look like. And
Well, Jim and I are already starting to look at that, luckily, and you're going to be seeing a brand new format to the budget for next year. For this year's coming up budget, I'm working on that right now. So it has been a little disruptive, but Jim and I are already starting to look at and work through the budget exercise that we would have to do for the 27-28 budget here in public. So we are working through that right now.
okay, and I don't think we need to have a separate presentation by this unless anybody on council wants to. But I'd have a curiosity, like how are we going to do this non-binding 10% budget reduction exercise? Are you going to call out to each department and just I'd be curious to see how that works before we get into the details of budget season.
I'm very curious to see how that works also, Mr. Mayor. But as Heather noted, we've actually been talking about it since that bill was passed, and we're actually internally doing our own little exercise this year on it to prepare. And what we want to do is first be statutorily compliant and then provide the information in a manner that's as straightforward as possible in that particular exercise.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Sounds like a job for artificial intelligence, too. We keep reading about all these amazing programs, and I talk about it with town clerk frequently that are not a substitute for the human beings, but, are greatly assisting in terms of what they do, everything from, coming up with ideas like that to answering phones. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, that requirement, does it make a distinction between the general fund and the capital budget, or you can wrap them all together?
I did not see a distinguishment between the different types. It's all appropriations.
So in theory, I'm not saying you're going to do it, the entire reduction for the purpose of this exercise could be in capital or it could be in general, right?
In theory,
Yeah,
but
okay. No,
yeah.
Okay, just wanted to understand what restrictions you were under on that. So.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, Public Safety Department. Assistant
Morning,
Chief
Mr.
Fryer.
Mayor.
Good morning. How are you?
Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council, very good. How are you? Other than the submitted report, I have no updates to that. If anyone has any questions.
Any questions for our Public Safety Department representative?
Yes.
Vice Mayor?
So we had the tragic incident of, if the newspaper is correct, where a person on a moped was killed down at Beachland and A1A. Is there anything we're doing different in terms of enforcement on mopeds or anything we need, or need to contemplate to do, or other vehicles like that, you know, because you see a lot of e-bikes and things of that nature, or it's just not much.
We do. I mean, all of our officers that are out there are encouraged to, if they're free, conduct traffic enforcement. In addition, we do have a dedicated traffic enforcement officer. As a matter of fact, in about a month's time, when school is out, he's been focusing during the day. He's going to switch to afternoon and evening hours, roughly 12 to 10 p.m., and his days are going to vary since school's out.
Okay.
Anything else? Thank you. Stay safe out there, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you all.
Town Attorney, Mr. Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Just want to follow up on really the legislative process where we are. First and foremost, the House bill that we previously talked about, 1451, as of this morning, still has not been presented to the governor. So that's still pending. And as an overall view, there are 167 bills that have been passed by both houses that have not been presented yet to the governor. Those are just still sitting. Separately, there are 13 bills currently with the governor, many of which were presented 2 days ago on the 21st. Really, there's very few of them that would be applicable to the town. But maybe most important, as I said, those remaining 167 have not even been presented to him yet. Contemporaneous with this, as council is aware from my last update, and as you're aware, the budget for the upcoming year for the state of Florida has not been passed. There is a special session that will be starting on the 28th. That only pertains to the following items: redistricting of the U.S. House maps, artificial intelligence, and it's been referred to as an AI Bill of Rights, a medical freedom measures related to vaccine requirements, and that's it. A special session in Florida is required to be specific to delineated topics. It is not like the general legislative session. And as of yesterday, both the Senate President and the Speaker both have not even given a date for when the budget special session would occur. So following up on not only pending legislation that has been approved but not signed, but also, as Heather was just talking about, we are all left guessing what exactly is going to happen over the next roughly 8 to 12 weeks, because again, that has to be signed by July 1st. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer. I will be attending the local government attorney seminar this next 2 days. Sure be speaking with colleagues about all of these various issues. And as you said, Mayor, it's hard to know what's real, what's not real, and what's in between.
To quote a conference call I was on last week, and I'll do my best to do the accent, up there in Tallahassee, there's a whole lot of horse trading going on. So that's what's going on probably in terms of setting the sessions, right? So,
yes, sir.
Okay. Anything for Mr. Sweeney on matters legal? None? Okay. Town manager report, and you're also going to include a parking ordinance review on this? Thank you.
I don't have anything additional, Mr. Mayor. What I was going to note related to the parking ordinance for trucks, and I mentioned that earlier, so I don't have anything additional.
Okay, terrific. Thank you very much. Council committee reports or non-action items, starting from Councilman Tedesco, if you've been to one of your
Thank you.
committees.
I attended the Treasure Coast Regional League of Cities meeting last week in Fort Pierce. Meeting was very well attended. A lot of people showed up. The main subject was a presentation on grant writing. Mindy Collier, who is employed actually by the Florida League of Cities, is the grants coordinator, and she's put together a toolkit online, and Heather and I shared that yesterday to Bone Up. It's an amazing website that is really good at finding grants and then writing them, and then it also has a PDF file on those that were successfully written as models for people to help to it. Mindy is also available for one-on-one consulting at no charge to any cities, and I found her very, very knowledgeable on the subject, and the Q&A session after her presentation was, you couldn't stump the band with any of the questions that she was given. So I think this might be a useful opportunity for us to enlarge our grant process. And somebody whispered in my ear that lots of people are responsible. Basically, Heather is the one that is kind of leading the charge these days. So she has the information, and we discussed that yesterday, and I think we'll find that useful. Do you agree? Another subject that came up that I thought was interesting and maybe not totally applicable, let's hope, to Indian River Shores was the possibility of putting together a workshop put on by the Treasure Coast Regional League on data centers. And they have found a consultant that would be willing to put on a workshop. There's a lot of implications when you have a data center coming to your neighborhood, and this person is capable, I guess, of sorting their way through all the different implications that are involved, some environmental, some zoning, some power systems related, some water issues. I don't know that we're going to have a data center in Indian River Shores, but there's certainly plenty of others being applied for in the county at this point. So those are the highlights of the meeting. Any questions?
No, thank you.
The Vero Beach Utilities Commission now meets every other month. It was supposed to meet in April. That meeting did not occur. I believe it's being adjourned to the first week of May. And I think that's going to be the first opportunity we will hear about an analysis of how the costs associated with the waste management facility may trickle down to the end users. So nothing to report today, but hopefully something to report at our next meeting in May.
Thank you. Treasure Coast Council of Local Governments met, and then we'll meet again next week. Treasure Coast Council of Local Governments is kind of like League of Cities, very similar agendas. We just have school board members and county commissioners there as well. There was no presentation. Interestingly enough, this has been discussed in council before. Senate Bill 48 died. That was the accessory dwelling unit, which would have required, even in the town of Indian River Shores, an ADU, which sounds great, but it's basically you could put a, what do they call them, he sheds, she sheds in the backyard and say my mother lives there, and you'd have to tolerate it. Nothing we can do zoning-wise. So, and I believe, as written, the bill would not even allow homeowners associations to disrupt that. So, good thing that that bill died. On the item of data centers, the thought was presented primarily by me that we've been getting presentations in these government meetings basically telling the government side of the story of the data centers. And so I thought it would be interesting to see, you know, what an industry representative would say about the parade of horribles that are being tossed out about data centers, you know, excessive water use, which you then find out for data centers, it's really a comparably sized golf course uses about as much water, even less if it's what's called a closed loop system. The low drone hum that affects wildlife, mostly snakes. Okay, so we may be having a presentation. One of the members believes he can find an industry representative to come in and kind of, you know, give a presentation on the industry side of it so that we can make informed decisions. You know, if we get bad information and, you know, it's you know, panicky and it's not quite factually accurate, we're not able to make good decisions. I don't believe we're ever going to have a data center here, but as area residents, we do have an interest because there's talk about data centers going in the other side of 95. They do create jobs and really well-paying jobs, and you know, be good to have that presence here. So I'll keep you all posted on that. The other two items I want to point out are that Treasure Coast Council of Local Governments will be doing a scholarship of $1,000 per year for a qualifying student. So anybody in the community has a student that's, you know, in need, that falls kind of between the gap of, you know, your parents can pay for everything and the loans will pay for everything. There's a whole bunch of students in the middle, particularly those that go into public safety. And I think this council will be receptive to people going into ENT and police and fire, and the healing arts as well, to kind of cover it. There was much discussion, and you can use it for tuition, you can use it to buy a laptop, you can use it for books, you can use it for any of the commuting costs, any of the expenses. So I think we're pretty proud about that happening. And then the last thing is insurance costs. So there's an organization, Mr. Harpring, that you'll probably be hearing from, and if you don't, I'll follow up on it. We were just fell through the cracks to create a larger pool of smaller municipalities to defray insurance costs. So some of the numbers are just shocking. 400% increases in health insurance for some municipalities. I know we've been able to do better than that, but I think we're probably well served keeping our finger in that pot, just in case, you know, there's a spike in rates, and you know, if the greater risk pool is assigned and we can jump in on that and save some rates, why not? So that could be part of our 10%, Heather, right? So.
Regarding this potential discussion on data centers, I'd be interested in the industry's perspective on electric power use. Different things have happened across the country. In Northern Virginia, they are loaded with new data centers, and rates have skyrocketed there. I know that the state is trying to figure out a way to compartmentalize those rates, but anything you hear in that I think would be useful as well. So
Absolutely, and those are noticed public meetings, so anyone can attend, or you can even dial in. So I'll make sure to check the presentation, and you know, with the kabuki dance we have to do, I've got to tell Janice, who can then tell everybody else, and then say don't reply. So, all right. Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We had an MPO meeting. That's Metropolitan Planning Organization. It's a transportation planning board for the county. They just ratified the road projects that are on the priority list, which really have not changed over the last several years. Beach and shores, I already talked about. One thing that I did give everybody is it's at the bottom of your pile here. I handed it out this morning. Is a write-up on a ransomware attack on water treatment plant. The reason why I'm bringing it here, under sunshine law, I can't communicate with Mr. Altieri on our Utilities Commission representative directly, but I wanted to make you aware of that. First of all, my background's in the bond market. I worked there for a third of a century. Credit rating agencies are looking very closely at cybersecurity risk and wrapping them into their ratings. So in reading one of my industry publications that mentioned this city in Minot, what was that, South or North Dakota? I can't remember. Okay. And what they talked about, a breach to their system, and what caught my eye was I saw the word SCADA, or acronym, SCADA, and I recognized that as something that Vero Beach uses. So what happened, their software was attacked, and they had to go to manual operations and backup servers. They actually had to go out to their water towers and ensure they were maintaining pressurization. So you may or may not recall that there was Iranians were breaching a particular system, and I brought it up in the Utilities Commission meeting a number of years back. They were breaching a Pittsburgh utility, and then Vero Beach admitted in the public meeting that they got attacked as well. So I sent this information to Mr. Bolton, so you have the email traffic at the back of this here. And one thing that's mentioned there, I'll put in the public record, he finally responded, it seems Iran is attacking a lot of Allen Bradley PLCs. PLCs stand for Programmable Logic Controllers. We only have a few in our system. They're not on critical infrastructure. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention since, again, under the sunshine law, I can't send you an email directly and you know, have a conversation back and forth, but I wanted to make you aware of it just to kind of keep an eye on that. So,
thank you. And coincidentally, Minot is the location of one of the most strategic United States Air Force bases as well.
Minuteman, right?
Yes, exactly. Okay. So if you think it's just kind of testing the waters, probably there's more going on. Yeah. Councilman Carroll?
Yes, thank you. I attended the Economic Development Council meeting on the 21st. There were three outstanding presentations at that meeting. The first, and each one had to do with ways in which various parts of the county primarily educational related, is working in conjunction with the Economic Development Council to promote Indian River County as a place to come and work and thrive, not only for the workers, but in this particular case, principally for the families. The first presentation was by Dr. Moore, superintendent, and his comments were very similar to the ones he delivered before council at a recent meeting. The second was from the president of Indian River State College, also an excellent presentation. And one of the things that he pointed out that was surprising to everyone in attendance, at least me, actually, 25,000 students at Indian River State College. And then finally, a presentation by the head of the Workforce Development Board. And once again, all these, each one of the presentations has to do with coordination between education, advancement for families, and how that works, how they're working in conjunction with the Economic Development Council and other members for the county to bring businesses to the county and support those which are already here. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilman Carroll. All right, call to the audience. This is the time where the public can come to the podium and address what's on your mind. Anything. All we ask is that you identify yourself by name, and you don't have to give an exact address, but your neighborhood and town would be terrific. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Matt Hutmaker, 560 Sable Oak Lane in Bermuda Bay. Good morning, council, senior managers for the town, and fellow citizens. I want to bring up a public safety possible problem. I am a runner, walker, and biker on the sidewalk of A1A every day. I do a lot of miles, and there's a specific possible injury situation that occurs very frequently, and that is people coming out onto A1A from this side, because this is where the sidewalk is. When they're turning south, when they're turning right, they look carefully to the left because that's where the traffic's coming from that might hit them. That's a danger to them. And I don't have any percentage numbers, but many do not stop, which is breaking the law. And even the ones that do stop often don't even look to the right, where the pedestrians, runners, and bikers are. And so I have seen at least 4 or 5 close situations. I saw one bicycle rider that was really shook up, and another runner that I know by name, and same thing. We talked about it. He was really shook up, but he wasn't hit. I've spoken to a few drivers who stopped or didn't stop, but there's nothing a private citizen can do. And it's a law that's not being enforced. The stop sign laws are not being enforced. And I recommend the following, because I don't want to bring a possible problem up without throwing out some solutions. And one would be for Janice to put out the word, we talked about getting out to the various homeowners associations and that sort of thing. That would help. Also put something in the report of this meeting that you had an angry citizen come up and make comments. I'm not angry yet, but I will be if somebody gets
we use the word concerned citizens.
Yes, concerned citizen. And then the final thing is some level of law enforcement. It doesn't have to be, there's obviously more important things to do. But just a few warnings issued would help a lot, because I think particularly within the HOAs, the word would spread. And I will tell you this, where the worst cases are, and one of them's my neighborhood, of course, Bermuda Bay and Johns Island, a gated community has an additional problem because people had to either stop or slow down at the gate before they got to the stop sign. So they sort of feel like they've already stopped. Well, they did, but they weren't able to look for pedestrians and bicyclers. So that's all I have.
Well, thank you for your comments. All of your suggestions are great. I don't think there's any objection to implementing them all. We have Assistant Chief Ryer here too, and I'm sure you'll have some thoughts on this and how we can go ahead and do it. I've noticed the same exact thing, frankly. And I think you're being kind when you say most people look in one direction. Some people don't look in any direction. They just pull out. And
yes,
and I
right.
think you're spot on. They feel like if they've stopped at the gate of their HOA, or they've stopped at the sidewalk that precedes A1A, they've already made their stop and they can just proceed. So thank you for bringing that up, and let's work on a solution for that, together as a council. Yes, sir.
I think there's actually a related structural problem, and I see this in my community, is that when you come through the gate that lets you out, you then come to a stop sign. But the stop sign is something like 15 or 20 feet east of the sidewalk. So I'll come out, stop at the stop sign, then proceed through the stop sign, and sometimes you don't have great visual access to the right side, left side or right side, but particularly if you come to the stop sign, you look to your left, what you see is a hedge. Then you go through, you've stopped, now you've gone through, and you're at the sidewalk. And if it's just a timing thing at that point, if the runner or the cyclist is at the wrong point, that's how these things happen, because it happens too quickly. And it may help if the stop sign got closer to the edge of the sidewalk, as opposed to being 15 or 20 feet inside of that.
Ours is right at the sidewalk, I know. And I've also, the South River entrance for Johns Island, their sign is also out by the sidewalk.
Yeah.
So maybe there are some that are too far back, and I don't know if that's I know it's public law that you have to stop for those stop signs. The ones inside the communities are not enforceable. They're just more or less for convenience and safety. But there may be some requirement on how far they are. I don't know. Not my field of expertise.
All right, thank you. As we always say, it's educate, encourage, enforce. And, this does remind me of another, we had a problem with, vehicles covering the loads, and we educated, we encouraged, and then we started writing people up. So Chief Ryer, perhaps he can, at the next meeting, just give an update on, what your observation was, and then we can have an education on what we see, and maybe if there's something we're going to have to do, that's fine. I hope to God we don't have to involve FDOT, because that's going to be a process of months as opposed to, stopping a dangerous situation immediately. So thank you for bringing that up, and we'll follow up at the next council meeting on that. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Mitzi Zimmerly from Pebble Lane. 2 questions. If the state required this, why don't they help fund it? Question 1. Question 2, this cost of $1.945 million is divided by how many homeowners on those 2 streets? That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The first question I can help you with, I can give you the email addresses of our state representatives, but we don't like unfunded mandates either. We get them all the time, and at the end of the day, you wind up footing the bill because that's reflected in the mill rate, in the budget that we have. So it's a fact of life, and a bad fact of life. On the other one, you can yeah, I know you're being rhetorical, but we do have the numbers of the people that are affected, and the town manager can provide that to you with the folks that are involved in that, so.
Just briefly on the Pebble Lane question individually, that cost is $805,002.55. And the individual cost, you can't divide that number by the houses on the street because you have to take out the road paving portion of it and just look at the septic to sewer portion of it. And Mr. Bolton, who was here before, is working on finalizing those numbers. And hopefully we'll have exact numbers shortly after our August 30th pre-construction meeting, which is next week. So I'm hoping the week after next, we'll have a much better idea. Though I believe that the Pebble Lane numbers, if you would, were closer to, apologize for the delay. And please don't hold me to this, but I think the Pebble Lane number assessments, I don't want to say and speak out of turn because I don't have the finals, and I don't want to give you an unreasonable expectation on a number. But very shortly, the plan is for each property owner to have a specific, document that shows this is exactly what your cost is based on, your property and the connection. And it's different. The overall costs are different for Beachcomber and Pebble.
Yeah, thank you. And that's a good point because, the lawyer side of my brain's taking over, but that's important to add to the basis of your home as well. So, for future transactions. So he'll have it. But I think she was being more rhetorical and, if there's a breakout of, what's covered by road funds as opposed to what the actual cost of the septic to sewer is, that would be, I think, helpful to some of these folks. So,
and we have that. We'll publish all that.
Okay.
Brian, I have a question.
Yes.
What is the law relative to riding bicycles on sidewalks?
I can bring that up. I have it on my phone since I've had some
Mr. Elwater is
rather angry discussions with people. So just give me here a second.
You just got to share.
And the follow-up question would be.
Florida Statute 316.2065, bicycle regulations, subsection 9. A person propelling a vehicle by human power upon along a sidewalk or across a roadway and upon a crosswalk has all the rights and duties applicable to a pedestrian under the same circumstances. Subsection 10. A person propelling a bicycle upon and along a sidewalk or across a roadway upon and along a crosswalk shall yield the right of way to any pedestrian and shall give an audible signal before overtaking and passing such pedestrians. Since I've been told by people driving cars I don't belong on the sidewalk.
Follow-up question, is there any enforcement of that?
Well, you have to see people do it in order to enforce it. So,
I withdraw the question.
No, you don't have to withdraw it. It's just, it's fine. No, there's a bigger question here that we're not going to answer today, and that's, e-bikes, how do they fall into all of this? And, there wasn't really an appetite to handle this last year, but I think at some point we're going to be forced to confront that. The one thing I can tell you for sure, and public safety is good about this, is, for parents that give their kids a golf cart and let them drive it on, A1A and on sidewalks, we've cracked down on that because I've seen some pretty dangerous situations with that, and not with just cars, but with pedestrians as well. And so there's, I love kids, but there's kind of a frightening sight of a 14-year-old with a golf cart and the regulator flying down A1A sidewalks. So
I have equal fears of multiple bicycles in tandem, 3 and 4 and 5 sometimes in the bike lanes. And I'm not sure about right-of-way on that, but I suspect that. They have the right to be there.
Yeah.
Out of the bike lane?
Yeah. Oh, out of the bike lane.
I'm talking about, I don't think there's more than 2 or maybe 3 bikes that can be side by side in a bike lane, but there's often many more than that.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I would consult with but a bicycle is considered a motor vehicle, so, they can ride on the road if they want. And the bike lane's really there for safety and convenience, is how I understand it. So.
My spouse has very strong ideas of when and when I cannot use my horn.
Well, just one other thing on that point. The state passed a law maybe 2 years ago that you're required to give if you're driving a motor vehicle, required to give a 3-foot clearance to a bicycle, which allows you to go across the yellow line to exercise that motion. So a lot of people, I don't think, know that, so they have a tendency, well, I got to stay in the lane, so I'm going to be right on top of you. So.
All right, anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Sheila Seville. I live on Surf Lane, which is part of the Pebble Beach community, which includes Pebble Lane. And the cost obviously is significant to each of us as homeowners. We're talking $30,000 to $40,000. I feel like there's a lack of communication to our community. We're not a property owners, or we're not a homeowner association, we're a property owner association. And I don't think that we get notified to our board members when something like this is going on. We have to rely on, newspapers and look at town council meetings if we happen to do that, which not everybody does. So I feel like we need a better communication process with our community, and I do not believe that anybody on Pebble Lane received any kind of notification about this other than maybe 2 years ago, a year and a half, 2 years ago, when there was a general meeting. A year and a half is a long time to go without any input from the community. And I'd just like to request or see how we can get our emails on a list or something like that.
Did you attend the informational meeting? When was that? About 6 weeks ago, or?
That was a little different. That was the mandatory pre-bid meeting for the vendors. Okay. But do you actually have an HOA with a dedicated email?
We have a property owner association with an email address.
For Pebble Lane?
Yes.
Okay, just
for
let us.
Pebble Beach, which Pebble Lane is part of 3 streets, 39 homes that are part of that community.
You get us contact information, we'll put you in the loop with everything.
Okay.
Yeah, my understanding was we went out to notify each of the HOAs. If we didn't, that's on us, we'll correct that, but I think we did.
I think we found out 2 days ago about, this was a topic on the agenda, and we found out from someone on Beachcomber. So we have 7 people here today. I probably should have spoke up earlier so that we could have had a little more input, but we are here now, and we are very concerned about the cost, as you can imagine. And I also looked at the spreadsheet that we were given that shows the breakdown of the cost and sharing the road cost with the sewer. And there's some costs on there that I don't think should be part of the sewer cost. It should be part of the road cost. Surf Lane was repaved a number of years ago, but Pebble and Reef, thank you, have not been paved yet. But I think some of the cost is being shifted off to sewer, and I don't think that's right. So I want to know when we would get an opportunity to discuss the detailed breakdown of the cost to each homeowner.
For our part, Council, Mr. Mayor, when we get those, and this is all coming from the city of Vero Beach as the water provider, when those are provided and we get those and you get those, we should all get those collectively, and they should be something dedicated to each particular property number, address, and so on. It would be at that point in time that I would imagine we could discuss those breakdowns. Those breakdowns were generated by the engineering team to determine what particular detailed item was either shared cost or dedicated cost to one or the other.
Okay. Well, I guess getting our email on there is the most important thing, but we would appreciate support from the council and whatever we can do to keep the costs down for individual homeowners.
And I will just note briefly on that, just to reiterate again, when you look at, when you get the spreadsheet, when you ultimately look at the cost for what the road is, while that is being paid by road funds and taxpayer dollars essentially, generally, if the town was not involved in the road paving project, that would be an obligation that the individual property owners would have to pay as well, because the city would be doing the road paving, be doing the road work, would be doing the septic to sewer work standing alone. And therefore, all of those costs would be borne by the residents split up. However, the town is doing the road work and doing the stormwater remediation installation work so that that particular cost is not being
But we are paying taxes.
you are, yes, ma'am. And those roads were going to have to be done anyways.
Right, exactly.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
The way communications work is do you get the weekly emails from the town? Because a lot of our communications come through that.
I do get the
Okay.
weekly,
So there were-
email.
there are
But I'm
no-
just one person, not everybody
Yeah.
does subscribe to that.
No, I know. So, the email communications, we do, I think, a pretty good job of letting people know what's on us. We've had this before council a number of times to discuss it. We do our best to keep the cost down on this. As I said, we're not happy that we get these unfunded mandates as well. And, nobody takes into account that our town administrative staff also has to coordinate all this work with the city of Vero Beach. So we'll be happy when this is done, and we'll be hopefully.
Well, I do appreciate what you all do.
No, thank you.
And we want your support.
And
That's
we
what-
want your feedback as well. So I thank you very much.
Thank
And if you have any additional questions or information as this develops, we'll be happy to provide it to you. Yes, sir.
Paul Chatterton, I live on Pebble Lane. I guess three things. One, I guess there's no possibility of using the step system anymore?
I've had those discussions right after this legislation occurred, and that's exclusively within the purview of the city as the provider, and they have determined on Beachcomber Lane and Pebble Lane that because of the proximity of the central sewer that they do not want to use step systems there. And there's lots of different opinions about whether it's better or worse in terms of the system. Not an engineer, but I view a step system as essentially a sort of a wastewater treatment plant on your property, though, that those items are moving out. But those discussions occurred, and the city decided that for those two roads, they were going to go to central sewer. There is a difference in cost. The step system is less as a finite cost now. The question about upkeep and maintenance for the step system and power and so on over the life of the system is a different story. But that was a determination that was made by the city for Beachcomber and for Pebble.
As well as whether it will be regulated out. Don't count the legislature out on saying, well, we said step systems were okay as an interim step. We're now withdrawing step systems, and we're requiring you to have a full sanitary sewer hookup. So there was that danger with that as well.
Okay. Grants were mentioned earlier in the meeting. Is anybody pursuing finding grants to help offset the cost for the homeowner?
The town looked at that. The problem with the town relationship in that is that the grants are provided to the municipality that provides the wastewater systems, and that's the city of Vero Beach. I don't want to speak in detail about the whys or the wherefores of what grants they did or did not apply for. I do know that they have a very large wastewater treatment plant under construction that they're seeking grants for, and whether or not there were decisions about what grants to apply for which projects. But those grants, and we did internally evaluate whether an individual property owner could seek grant funding for the cost, and at least in the last grant cycle through DEP, there was nothing related to individual property owner costs, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's it.
All right, thank you. All
Thank
good comments. Thank you for your questions and comments. Anybody else? I'm sorry, you already, one customer for public comment. You had your time up, so unfortunately that's it. So, anybody else? All right, yeah, so just to remind everyone, you get one chance to speak on public comment up to 3 minutes. So otherwise, we run the risk of losing control of the meeting. All right, so we are now adjourned, and we will see you on May 28th.